A player is standing 5 yards away from any defender. The ball hasn't even touched him yet, and the referee still calls offside. Confused? You're not alone. Offside is the single most misunderstood rule in football, and by the end of this video, you'll understand it better than most professional pundits. Offside decisions have decided World Cups, cost teams titles, and sparked more arguments in pubs and living rooms than any other rule in sport. But here's the thing, most people who argue about it don't actually know the rule. So let's fix that, once and for all. Offside wasn't invented for football. It actually comes from rugby, where forward passes were banned entirely. When football split off as its own sport in 1863, early versions of the rule required 3 defenders between an attacker and the goal line, making it almost impossible to play a forward pass at all. That changed in 1925, when IFAB reduced the requirement to just 2 defenders, usually the last defender plus the goalkeeper. This single change transformed the sport, leading to an explosion of goals and forcing teams to invent the offside trap as a defensive tactic. Fast forward to the 1990s, the rule was refined again. A player level with the second last defender was now onside, not offside. And in the 2000s, IFAB introduced the concept of active involvement, trying to punish only genuine attacking advantage, not just position on the pitch. Then came VAR, and offside would never be simple again. Here's the rule as it stands today, broken into 2 separate questions the referee has to answer. Question 1. Is the player in an offside position? A player is in an offside position if, at the moment the ball is played by a teammate, any part of their head, body, or feet is nearer to the opponent's goal line than both the ball and the second last opponent, usually the last outfield defender. 3 important exceptions. A player is never offside if they're in their own half of the pitch. They're never offside from a goal kick, a throw-in, or a corner kick. And being level with the second last defender is not offside. Only being ahead of them counts. Question 2. Is the player actually involved in play? Being in an offside position isn't an offense by itself. The player has to do one of 3 things: interfere with play by touching the ball, interfere with an opponent by blocking their line of sight or challenging for the ball, or gain an advantage from that position, for example, by receiving a ball that rebounds off the post or a defender. If a player is in an offside position but does none of these things, say they're standing offside on the far side of the pitch, completely uninvolved, no offense is called. Now, let's bust 3 myths that even longtime fans get wrong. Myth 1. If any part of your body is offside, you're offside. False. Only the head, body, and feet count. Arms and hands don't. That's why you'll sometimes see a striker's arms stretched miles ahead of the last defender, and it's still a perfectly legal goal. Myth 2. The assistant referee makes the call alone. Also false, at least at the professional level. Since VAR, marginal offside calls are reviewed frame by frame, and in top leagues, semi-automated systems now track up to 29 data points per player, 50 times per second, to draw that line with millimeter precision. Myth 3. You can be offside from your own pass. Also false. Offside can only occur from a pass made by a teammate. If the ball comes off an opponent, even a deliberate save or clearance, the offside position resets. Offside calls have decided some of the biggest moments in football history. Marginal decisions, sometimes down to a few centimeters of a shoulder or a bootlace, have overturned World Cup goals, Champions League qualifications, and title-deciding matches. The controversy usually isn't about the rule itself, it's about precision. When a human eye has a fraction of a second to judge a fast-moving attacker against a stationary defender, mistakes are inevitable. That's exactly the problem technology was brought in to solve. Though, as we'll see, it created a whole new set of arguments. Since 2018, VAR has reviewed offside decisions using frame-by-frame lines drawn across the pitch. But critics argued these lines were often based on a single camera angle and a subjective moment of the kick. That's why top competitions have moved to semi-automated offside technology, using multiple tracking cameras and a sensor inside the match ball itself to detect the exact moment of contact, then generate a 3D offside line in seconds. Supporters say it's more accurate. Critics say it's stripped away the human drama of the game, and that no system can fully eliminate marginal, contentious calls, because the rule itself still depends on judgment about involvement in play. So, offside position is about where you are. The offense is about what you do. Level is onside. Own half is always onside. And no goal kick, throw-in, or corner can ever be offside. Think you've got it now? Comment your answer below. Is a player offside if they're standing in an offside position, but the ball never comes near them? We'll pin the correct answer. If this finally made offside make sense, subscribe, because next we're breaking down the rule almost nobody understands correctly: handball. See you in the next one.